Ready to record. May I fire? Yes, I didn't know collecting data could be this much fun. So, is it possible then that there's something inside of this? After thousands of years, scientists have finally found the tomb of Moses. I have questions about the end of the story of Moses. So, okay, if there is a historical Moses, where is this guy? I mean, where was he buried? According to the biblical tradition, he ended on the other side of the valley, and he dies where? At Mount Nebo. The fact that a man like Moses, who holds significance in not just Christianity but other religions, died and his burial place was hidden is a mystery that has puzzled people's minds for centuries. What is at this site? Here at this site, we have the tomb of Moses. There's a tomb here? Of Moses? Yes. This is why, the moment these scientists stumbled upon this 2,000-year-old tomb, many of them were overcome with emotion as they stood in disbelief before the sealed tomb of Moses. But what exactly lies inside this ancient tomb? What secrets have been preserved for millennia, untouched by time? Join us as we look into the mysteries surrounding this extraordinary discovery and whether what they discovered confirms what we already know about the significance of Moses' life. Scientists led by Josh Gates were deeply emotional when they announced what seemed impossible: the discovery of Moses' sealed tomb, untouched for thousands of years. The reason why they went emotional might not really make sense to you until you know the kind of person Moses was. Before understanding why this discovery affected the scientists so much, it's important to look back at Moses' remarkable life. Moses is a central figure in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, three of the world's largest religions. He was born in ancient Egypt during a time when the Pharaoh ordered the death of all newborn Hebrew boys to control their population. In a desperate move, his mother placed him in a basket and sent him down the Nile River, hoping to save his life. Moses was found by Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him and raised him in the royal palace. But things took an interesting turn from here. Despite growing up with the privileges of royalty, Moses always remembered his Hebrew roots. When he was 40, he killed an Egyptian who was beating a Hebrew slave, forcing him to flee Egypt to avoid punishment. Moses lived quietly in the land of Midian for 40 years, where he married Zipporah, the daughter of a local priest, and worked as a shepherd. However, his life changed dramatically when he encountered a burning bush on Mount Horeb, Mount Sinai, where God spoke to him and told him to return to Egypt to free the Israelites from slavery. Moses returned to Egypt and, with the help of his brother Aaron, demanded that Pharaoh let the Israelites go. When Pharaoh refused, God sent a series of 10 plagues to punish Egypt, from turning the Nile into blood to sending swarms of locusts and covering the land in darkness. The final plague, the death of every firstborn son, including Pharaoh's, finally convinced the Pharaoh to release the Israelites. Before the final plague struck Egypt, Moses gave the Israelites a key instruction: mark their doorposts with lamb's blood. This act would protect them from the angel of death, who would pass over their homes and spare their firstborn children. This act of faith led to the establishment of Passover, a central tradition in Jewish life. When Pharaoh's own son died in the final plague, he finally gave in and allowed the Israelites to leave Egypt. This moment, around 1250 BC, marked the start of the Exodus. Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt toward the Promised Land. But soon after, Pharaoh regretted his decision and sent his army after them. Trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's forces, the Israelites were desperate, but once again, God intervened. Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the waters parted, creating a path for the Israelites to escape. As they crossed to safety, the waters closed in on the Egyptian army, drowning them and securing the Israelites' freedom. With Egypt behind them, Moses led the Israelites through the harsh desert. Their journey was long and difficult. At Mount Sinai, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, which became the foundation of Jewish law. Despite these divine signs, the Israelites often struggled with faith and disobedience, resulting in 40 years of wandering in the desert. During this time, Moses continued to guide them, settling disputes and teaching them God's laws. Miracles followed, like manna from heaven to feed them and water drawn from a rock. As the 40 years drew to a close, Moses was allowed to see the Promised Land from the top of Mount Nebo. However, because of a previous act of disobedience at the waters of Meribah, Moses was not allowed to enter. All of these backstories should now help you understand why his place of burial is hidden in such a deep mystery. So, let's look at how the tomb was discovered. According to the Bible, Moses died on Mount Nebo, and God buried him in a secret place around 1271 BC. The mystery of Moses' burial has intrigued people for centuries because of his importance, as we have already discussed. If a reader of the first 4 books of the Torah still has any doubts about Moses' paramount importance to Israel's history, the book of Deuteronomy makes it undeniably clear. Now, fast forward to the present. Josh Gates and his team may have discovered Moses' long-lost tomb. One site of particular interest is Nabi Musa, nestled in the Judean desert near the Dead Sea. For centuries, this site has held religious significance, especially in Islamic tradition, where Moses, known as Musa in Arabic, is revered as a prophet. Muslims believe Nabi Musa to be his final resting place. The site has deep connections to Moses, who is mentioned more times in the Quran than any other prophet. Historian Islam shares many similarities with the biblical account: his birth, his escape from Pharaoh's decree, and his role in leading the Israelites out of Egypt. The Nabi Musa site became a place of religious importance around 1269 AD, and ever since, it has been associated with Moses' final chapter in Islamic tradition. Then, in the distance, you see Nabi Musa. Nabi Musa is a mosque, which is 700 years old. It's kind of fortified to keep intruders from coming in. The connection between this sacred site and the biblical Moses continues to captivate scholars and believers alike.